Anything you mention, we know how to trade it. So I think I'm a multi-asset trader too. He'll kill me if I say something else. Yeah.
How do you make of the tariffs? Because like now trading through the tariffs, is there any asset that's outperformed for you, like surprisingly?
Once I got that fundamental approach, it just definitely was a game changer. Some people were in our house. It just broke in our house. And we saw like, the sofa, just everything upside down. And it was just such a crazy experience.
If someone comes to you now and they've got a little bit of extra money, do you recommend they go prop firm to start, or do you recommend they go small personal capital?
You're learning trading, and at this point, after several years, you think you suck at it, just invest in stocks and you'll be fine.
Sorry that the airport security was harassing you, bro. It's my Tampa people.
Yeah. In the end, it was just so like, every time I come, I pass my passport, they take my picture, and they're like, come with me. I could tell you that, in the whole podcast. And
you should already start walking.
Yeah,
like,
I should just
you hand it to him, like, should we go this way? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's just go together.
Yeah, it happens. Like, I came to the States in the past 5 years. I think I've come 5 times with this time.
And it happens every time.
Every single time.
Maybe it's because you're good looking, bro. Maybe they like the hair. I don't know.
They do.
But you got the whole entourage with you. You got the family. You got the business partners.
I've done it this way. I passed alone. Then I passed with my wife. Then let's do it with the group. They know I'm with you guys. No,
still
you guys are good. You come here.
Well, look, you made it.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
I always make it.
You always make it.
Yeah.
And now we finally get to do our in-person podcast.
Exactly.
So we're going to hopefully touch on some important topics today.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear about what's going on with you and Bernd. I want to hear about the new prop firm madness that's going on. I'm also interested to get your input on the future space from the outside looking in. I want to know specifically, bro, like, do you think some of these prop firms are doing things well or doing things poorly? So we'll get into all that. But let's do this first for the audience that hasn't met you yet.
Mm-hmm.
Divitrades. He's got the entourage here today, but Divi himself. Tell everybody how long you've been trading, how'd you get into trading? Give them the high-level overview.
All right, so my social media is Divitrade. My actual name is Raul Aras. I'm Colombian. Been trading for over, 5 years, I guess. And it's been a long journey, going through a lot of courses, learning a lot of things through this time and years until finally getting to that profitable space that we all really like to. So, I've been learning everything. You could mention it, smart money, ICT. I've been through all of that. But most recently, I've been more focused on the fundamental and technical approach. That is what we're doing. So I kind of combine that with my strategy, and it's been working quite nice ever since.
And that's where the partnership with Bernd comes in.
Yeah.
Because he's Mr. Fundamental.
Yeah, he's fundamental.
I mean, he's Mr. Fundamental and Mr. Technical. Bernd's reputation speaks for himself.
Yes.
What are you trading most right now?
I'm trading everything. So when I met Bernd, we met him through a podcast.
Yeah.
I got very intrigued about his strategy because he was like, I'm a fundamental and technical sort of trader.
Yeah.
And then I made him this question, like, okay, so now that you trade all that, what's the best asset that you trade, or what do you trade? And all he says is like, I'm a multi-asset trader because the market is a lot of things. So I got intrigued by that, and I was like, okay. After the podcast ended a few weeks later, I was like, I want to learn what you have. I think all egos have to go down, and I want to learn from you. I have a big community already in Latin America, but nobody knows what he was teaching.
Right.
So I decided to join OTC and ask them, fundamentals, and basically their logo is like, we're multi-asset traders. So any market at the moment we trade.
What's moving?
Agriculture.
Right.
Commodities, gases, futures, currencies, anything you mention, we know how to trade it. So I think I'm a multi-asset trader too. He'll kill me if I say something else.
Bernd, I love that. Hey traders, a quick pause from today's podcast to tell you about our sponsors. First, Top One Futures is still running a 50% off sale. Use the code ASFX on your next instant funded challenge from Top One Futures. There's a link in the description, or just go to topOneFutures.com, but make sure you use the code ASFX, those 4 letters. That'll make sure you get the best discount possible. If you don't want to take any more challenges and jump through any more BS hoops, instant funded is the way you need to go, and Top One Futures has your back. The second sponsor of today's podcast is Edgeful. If you're looking for statistical backed edges across multiple markets, not just futures, but for stocks and crypto and Forex as well, use the link in the description when you go sign up for Edgeful, and that link will give you a 7-day free trial. Go try it out for free. Play with the opening range breakout stats, play with the gap fill stats, and see how much of an impact it can make for you. Whether you're a day trader or a swing trader, you're going to love Edgeful.
Yeah.
Okay, so then when you compare even like futures in itself, because you mentioned futures there, to the traditional, what you and I are used to, prop firm, the CFD world, you can swing trade a lot of these trades.
Yes.
So are these more multi-day trades, swing trades, when you're looking across multi-asset? You're not like individually day trading hogs one day and then day trading euro the next day.
No, so our approach is a fundamental first.
Okay.
So we have certain, let's say, indicators or data that we use, COT report, valuation, seasonality. And we just kind of scan all the markets. It's really easy to scan them and just determine which one is good.
On a daily time frame?
We do it on a weekly basis.
Even
actually.
higher.
So
Okay.
we have 2 sort of approaches at OTC. We have a weekly income approach, which is a longer term. That's more of a burn side. And then we have the daily income, which is more to like the intraday, not an everyday thing, but at least within the week you see the market constantly, right?
Sure.
So those two approaches, I normally use that fundamental approach, right? And so we scan all the markets, and then whatever's good, we kind of like focus on those specific markets.
What makes a market good? Trend?
It's trend is in all markets,
Okay.
Structure and trend is basically in all markets. But I'll say the conditions, for example, on currencies and commodities, we look at the COT report. We want to see how commercials are doing, the big institutions, if they're really buying, if they're selling a lot. We want to see if there's going to be a turn in price. We call it the end of the bend. If there's like some signals on that, then we got to pay close attention to it. If we're going to trade indices, for example, we look at seasonality and the valuation against treasury bonds. So those kind of 2 factors we see before we take a decision in any of those.
Very high level, very macro.
Yeah, so it's very macro, and it works quite nicely for us.
In a market like this then, great update on your story for people that didn't know, but let's transition it to today. How do you make of the tariffs? Because like now trading through the tariffs, is there any asset that's outperformed for you, like surprisingly?
Actually, we were expecting all these indices to drop towards the beginning of the year. If you see Bernd's market yearly outlook,
I do know, you're right. He did call it.
he called out that
And he put it out for free.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
he
was
did.
totally free. And actually, I called it also for my community. We just had one supply level that was the one that reacted quite nicely. And by the way, we do use futures before taking anything on the CFDs.
Really?
So I'm pretty familiar with the future side because that's what we look at. We don't look Euro USD to make a decision. We just look at the Euro in the futures market to make that decision, right?
Sure.
So there's several charts we use, unadjusted, adjusted. You might know about them, the unadjusted, you see gaps that you don't see in the adjusted charts. So we use all of that to make those decisions, especially with the indices, also the futures itself, to take that short. And I was actually holding that short throughout this, beginning of the year. And we're still there because right now we have the tariffs and we have a lot of geopolitical tensions
Uncertainty.
around. So we can't really say by fact it's going to be now the push to the upside.
The bottom's in.
It will come up throughout the year. That's going to happen eventually. We were expecting it the second week of April, but now with all these things coming in, it's a bit crazy. Now, we did call the level for the buys, but it's kind of lacking right now because of all this uncertainty.
A lot of uncertainty.
That
Even
was also called
in that, when you say called to the community,
to the private community.
to the private community,
Yeah.
which is where are you guys hosting that?
So that's in OTC.
So it's a
on-
website. It's not like a Discord or anything like that.
It is.
It is?
Actually, we did a migration to the Discord platform. So Online Trading Campus did that migration to it, and then basically now it's kind of like more personal with the students.
For sure.
So each mentor there, I'm part of the mentor team.
Yeah.
Each mentor has their channel, and Bernd himself gives his personal outlooks every week. And he did mention that I think it was last week. Beginning of last week, we were expecting to buy, but one thing we were expecting was the stocks, like the main stocks hit monthly demand levels, and then once they hit them, Nasdaq, S&P, all of them had a quick.
I mean,
buy
that day last Wednesday was crazy.
it was awesome.
We're at 600 points on ES. I've never seen that before, you know? But it just shows how much volatility can come through uncertainty. Markets don't like uncertainty, at least US indices.
Yeah.
So as uncertainty goes away, would your perspective tell you to shift away from the indices because less volatility, less opportunity, or will that open the door?
No, that would actually open the door.
Really?
You know, we're not afraid about volatility and all these things coming out because we know the data's there. You know, it's just something that story repeats itself.
Yeah.
So right now, we for example, on seasonality, we work on the election cycle.
Sure.
So right now we're in a post-election cycle, and if you see that outlook that Bernd did, totally free on his YouTube channel, it was basically the past 12 post-election cycles, only out of the 12 of them, 9 of them have been positive for the market itself. You know, the indices, the Dow, all of that. It's been a bullish year. And also there's this decennial pattern that, you know, we use. And years ending in 5 usually are the most profitable years for the market.
Is that true?
Yep. So
Interesting.
if you go back and study that, we expect this year to be very profitable. So if you haven't invested in stocks, you need to start doing that because
dude, don't get me started.
Definitely going to happen.
Great plug there. I actually had an idea. You ready for this? I'll give you a curveball.
Go for that.
The Trump candle last Wednesday, that big candle, like it's like the biggest candle we've ever seen.
Yes.
Of course, he's gonna on that day tell you to buy, and then it goes up at 1 o'clock that afternoon. Crazy, right? But then, okay, just again, this is such a fantasy, everybody. But just say this is still a possibility. He'll take credit for that, which he did right away. He goes, "I told you to buy. I told you so." So he takes credit for it. We had the COVID recovery in 5 months, where the market shut down, the world shut down, and we recovered in the indices in 5 months.
Yes.
I'm wondering if this recovery could be faster and, like you're saying, potentially more profitable at the end of the year, end of the cycle. And then he gets to take credit for that. And then he gets to say, I gave you the biggest candle and I gave you the fastest recovery ever, which would be interesting because, like, not to go into a tariff podcast, but if these deals go through and everyone comes to the table and it does turn out good for the dollar, the markets could boom.
Yeah.
They really could.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my theory. We'll see if it comes true.
Well, I agree with you.
It could be.
Yeah. It's
hard to be bearish, right? Like, it's hard to just be like, okay, the market's down 20% or whatever. It's going to go down another 20%. Like, there needs to be real issues if it's going down 40%.
Yeah. We actually, you know, to be completely transparent, we actually took a stop. I took a stop. And I took it in front of all the community. So it's like I'm gonna buy on S&P 500. I took the stop, and then once we took that stop, it's not like we go in again and let's just go ahead and get the buy. We just waited for next level of importance. So yeah, we already took a hit. But then last week when it was an easy trade. You know, Trump just said it.
He said it.
What else can you expect? You know. And then we took the buy. I took the buy on NASDAQ that time. Traveling is a bit crazy to trade and travel. I've been traveling for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's been crazy. But I managed to get something out of that. So.
For sure. Well, you make a good point there. So let's get into some of the coaching perspective. Because for those that don't know, Raul also has his coaching business where probably one of the biggest in South America at this point.
I think so. I think one of the most legit, let's say.
Definitely one of the most legit. Because there's, I mean, in every continent, there's scammers. But you've always set yourself apart, which is why we've always kind of connected ever since the Heat game. So through the coaching now, and then, of course, working with Bernd, who's a world-class trader, world-class trading coach, how do you think your coaching has changed? How have you adapted to markets differently? And then how are you relaying that to your students?
Well, definitely once I got that fundamental approach, it just definitely was a game changer. Just because you get to know a little bit more how the markets move, right? There's a lot of things to talk about, but in general, I think just being able to understand that and then combining it with the technical, and you could be any sort of technical trader. You know, it doesn't really matter. Like in the past, I could say, "Oh, this guy trade this and he sucks," but not really. If you have an edge, you have an edge. Period. You do VWAP and all that, and I'm like, that's amazing. So I totally respect that, but definitely once I had that in my trading style, it's a game changer because you could actually predict certain moves. Seeing those moves coming into play is like that's very gratifying in a way.
Confidence building.
Yes.
Makes you feel like you actually have a good grasp on the market.
Exactly.
So then when you try to relay that to your students, because back in the day, just like with me, I mean, you think technicals are the answer. Technicals are the answer. But now you're seeing it's a blend, really. How are you convincing some of these new students to learn fundamentals? Where are you telling them to start?
So I always tell them to start understanding, let's say, the COT report.
Okay.
Right. So
What does COT stand for?
Commitment of traders.
Commitment of traders.
So you get to see what the three participants in the markets are doing. So commercials, non-commercials, and the retail traders. This is also taught by Larry Williams. So if you don't, I don't know if you guys know about Larry Williams. Big trader. He won the Robbins Cup back in 1986.
That's why I know the name. Okay.
So
I've heard of him.
He's the only one that's made over 11,000.
Right, he made 11,000%.
And then his daughter in 1997 made. She also won the Robbins Cup.
Wow.
So this dude is a great trader.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there's a book from him called Trade Stocks with the Insiders.
Okay.
I totally recommend that book. And he talks about the COT report a lot, you know, deep into what the commercials do, the non-commercials, all that. And just understanding what the institutions are doing on a long term makes you understand, like, okay, this is why the big moves come. So, for example, on dollar index, that's one of the most important indices or indexes that I recommend traders to do. In my space, Forex is like the big deal. Don't give me any hate. I know you guys love futures.
No, it's good.
But I love all the markets, right? Just to make that clear. But in Latin America, Forex is big.
Yeah.
So in this 2 past events we did with this prop firm that we're collaborating also with, we basically explain how the dollar index basically shows you like the past 5 turns in market, just understanding what the COT report was telling us. So for example, last year, Bernd called out some nice trades also just using that. You know, so commercials were very bullish on the dollar index back in September of last year. And then that basically determined just a couple of days or weeks later that euro dollar was going to drop. And we managed to call that drop just because of what the institutions were doing. Additional to that, we use valuation, seasonality. I like to use also something called open interest, which I learned from Larry Williams as well, which kind of complements everything. And it's just a good dynamic. Just to let
open interest meaning open orders in the market?
Yeah, like the actual open orders in the market.
Waiting to be filled.
Yes.
Interesting.
So you get to know out of the 3 participants who has the main control of, let's say, the short side, right? Or the long side.
Do you ever see like if retail has the main control of the short side?
Never. So like Bernd says it himself, and it's quite funny because that's the first thing that caught my attention. The way he expressed himself about the retail traders is like, poor retails, you know, just never do the same as what they're doing. They're out of 100%, they're like 90% almost wrong, you know. So you want to do the opposite to the retail traders, but you got to be careful because again, different markets don't show the same thing. So if we talk about cattle, live cattle, the retail traders actually are not that bad because in that market, it's a small market. So retail traders that are there reporting, sometimes they're not commercials just because they don't reach a certain, let's say, amount of capital that they might have.
Sure.
So it's a smaller business, but they're good. But in Forex,
they suck.
They suck.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it really sucks.
What an interesting stat.
Yeah.
And the cattle market is, I believe, closes at like 1 o'clock. Like it's a shortened market too.
It sure is. It sure is. And the agricultural markets, you know, sugar, you know, I think some years ago I would have never taught myself speaking about these markets, but yeah, it's something we look at.
Is it because maybe smaller and because maybe shorter in time and things like that, it provides different opportunity?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not as frequent as some other markets.
Sure.
We talk about indices, you'll have several opportunities, but those markets do have, let's say, opportunities as well, right?
With the guys that you've kind of transitioned now, like into this whole big coaching conglomerate, basically between your community and Bernd's community, you're international.
Yeah.
So here's an interesting question: do you find that the mistakes traders make are more common than they give credit to? I think that traders often feel like their problems or their trading issues are unique to them. But the more I talk to traders, the more I find it's the same couple of problems. So I want to know your Mr. International input.
It's like, I think we're all common. All we have, the only difference is the language. But like worldwide, we'll say it's the same problems. You know, once I talk to traders as well, both in English and Spanish. I was talking to Anna. She's from Pit Farm, and she was basically telling me about this psychology because she works with traders in that community like a lot, that psychological mental part. And it's a common thing with all traders. Like they think their problem is this,
Right.
and then someone else has that same issue. I was having a one-to-one session with one of the students of OTC this past week, and he was like, "Hey, I have an edge." He made $30,000 in about a week, and it was like crazy. And then he was like, "But the next day, I lost 13K," and I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "I'm just auto-sabotaging myself. I don't even have a target. I don't have a goal. All I know is I know how to enter the market, and I know how to take some profits, but then I don't pay myself." So I was like, you got 17K, let's say, left out of those 30K. Pay yourself 7K, leave 10K as a buffer, and just, start working with that. Because if you don't pay yourself, it's like, what's the point?
For sure, especially in the prop world.
Yes.
Was he a prop trader or personal capital?
Yeah, it was actually one of he was trading the campus fund.
Nice.
Bernd did a launch of his private prop.
How does that work?
It works good. It's instant funding with only the OTC members.
So you have to go through the academy.
Yeah, you have to.
I mean, that's the real prop model.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. You have to be part of the academy for that. So it's not like for everyone at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's futures plans for the entire community, but I'll leave that to him. To
Are you
mention.
going to the new trading floor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I will go this year.
Okay. When you go, let me know, and maybe I'll come with you.
Okay. Yeah.
I'd love to go there if Bernd will have me, and we could do some podcasts, do some content. It looks sick.
Yeah. It's just you have to go.
To talk about him for a second, when I interviewed him, he was probably in that span of a year, other than like the trading legends, he always carried himself the most professionally. Every answer he gave made sense. Because I've interviewed people that I've never posted the episode. People you probably know that I've never posted it because their answers were so stupid. I'm like, this person clearly doesn't understand how to trade. So it could be a bad look for me.
Yes.
But him, he's always on it, sharp, professional. And then when I saw him build that trading floor, I'm like, oh, this is next level.
I always tell the students in the campus, like, hey, I'm the smallest mentor out of all these dudes.
How many dudes does he have?
Mentors?
Yeah.
So there's Snake, there's Tobias, there's
I saw Tobias. I followed him on Instagram.
Clemens, there's Alessandro.
So like
there's
5 or 10
Chris,
guys.
Nader. I think we're about 7 or 8.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's a great
but they're
group.
awesome traders, man.
All a little bit different?
Yeah, a little bit different. Like there's certain things. We all have that same unique fundamental approach, but we get to like just show our own style.
For sure.
So as long as we keep it, within the blueprint and all that, we're good. And people love it. Like it's a community in which you get to see different mentors, and whoever you feel like connects with you, then you follow that mentor, and you could actually connect if you want sessions with them.
That's awesome. Does anyone do day trading?
Yeah.
Nice.
So
you guys cover everything from swing trading to day trading, multiple markets, everything.
We
That's
actually
awesome.
have something called the active income, sort of, and that's Tobias. So the whole point is that every single day you'll see Tobias trading live. It's trading live. And then us as mentors, we have to just analyze.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to put in a trade, I'll put it in front of the people. It's like, why would you be afraid of trading?
No,
just
you got
transparency. So that's something that OTC stands for, transparency. And Bernd, it's like, we need to show transparency. So.
Bro, how about that guy, whatever his name, that photoshopped his name over Bernd's name on the FTMO certificate? Remember that last year?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he hates him.
Bro, that is, and then Bernd's not going to let that go, bro. So I was loving watching that. But how could you be so stupid
I don't know.
to think you'd get away with that with like literally the number one FTMO guy?
You could have at least photoshopped the numbers or
Oh,
something.
dude, something. And then to lie about it when Bernd called him out, and he lied about why.
Yeah.
Not to go down that rabbit hole, but that is so awesome to see you've grown into that role and now surrounded yourself with other smart traders that are helping you get better. I think the reason people still like me and the reason people still like you is because we don't act like trading coaches that like know it all.
Yeah.
Like I still sit with Brian Shannon and want to learn more from him.
Yeah.
I still sit with people like you that trade differently than me and I want to learn from them.
Yeah.
So I think if the guy that's like leading is also curious and learning, the whole group can benefit from that.
Exactly.
And that's what Bernd looks for. And that's, I bet you, what he saw in you.
That's actually what my community actually their gratitude about that, because I'm always going to a different level, and I always preach that, like, you can't just let your ego come in and just, no, I'm the one that knows it all.
For sure.
Because in Latin America, sometimes what happens is that if you collaborate with a different trader and they're probably better than you, then you think all your students are going to go there and you're going to lose business.
Too competitive.
Yeah. So like my business is not, just, I know coaching is a business and I make money out of that too.
Right.
I'm good at it, but it's not my main business. So I don't care if I collaborate with you or whoever and they just come to you.
I find that doesn't usually happen though.
Yeah.
Like in the groups and communities that I've helped build in the space and like that I'm kind of like involved with, when you start working together, you start going further.
Yeah.
It's not the other way around.
Exactly.
Yeah. Everybody starts making more money together. It's not we all start losing now that we're sharing. No. So yeah, I think it's good that you're trying to push through that. Are there any other cultural like barriers that you see with trading? And I want to know, like, culturally in Latin America, is prop firms like a massive opportunity because for such a little amount of money, you can buy yourself some drawdown and you can, I mean, you don't need as much money to live down there.
It is a big opportunity. Obviously, a lot of prop firms, like big accounts, are expensive for a normal person in Latin America. For example, in Colombia, where I'm from, the minimum wage right now is about $350. And
a month?
Yes.
That's crazy.
So if you want to buy a 100K account,
you have to work for like a month.
Yes.
And not eat.
Exactly.
Wow.
So what we've been doing basically with the community, and that's the reason we've been working with prop firms, not all prop firms. Just right now, the one I'm working with is Pit Farm, and eventually OTC, we got the Campus Fund. But what we've been doing in these events in Latin America is getting to know the traders, provide them education. So I named that a boot camp event, and we brought in traders, not just me, different traders from the Latin community, smaller communities, but they gave some nice approach. And we actually gave out free accounts just for the traders there to try it. Like, we weren't there to sell you anything. Like, hey, just buy this account.
That's awesome.
No, we want to give you guys accounts, try it out. And then once you try it out, if you like it and if you have the possibility, then yeah, go for an account and you could slowly scale it up. But that's like the main approach nowadays, because it's also a burned topic.
That's what I was going to say. It sounds like people are burned on it a little bit, where it's like you have to almost convince them.
They're upset. I myself got screwed also by prop firms. I think you also got screwed by prop firms. So we don't like to do it just like, hey, come and buy it. No, try it out first. See if that's something for you, because it might not even be for you.
Right.
Maybe your approach is your own capital and then you're more disciplined that way. Or maybe, yeah, you could try a prop firm and just scale up and it will be a good idea. So we don't want to push it, really. We just want you guys to
have it as an option.
Exactly.
Do you have anybody that you think of, like, taking big payouts, like crushing it, changing their life?
Yeah. There's several people in Latin America that do that. Like, personally, us in Latin America, we don't like to show off. If you're
you
a real
always
trader,
said that to me, bro.
Yeah,
you said that to me when we first met. You were like, yeah, we don't flex like that.
Yeah. If you see a trader in Latin America like showing off, definitely they just ran away, because we know how it is down there. You know, it's beautiful countries, but security-wise, it's not as Dubai.
No.
That's why I always say Bernd's happy showing out his profits and all that because he's in Dubai.
Right.
But us in Latin America, we like to take care of ourselves and our families. I had a very particular situation in my life, which I want to share with you. And that's one of the reasons why I avoid that a lot. So a couple of years ago, we bought our new car. And I don't like to show off in social media, none of that. But we went for a family trip over a holiday. And we were all happy. Everything was nice. We went to a different place. When we came back home, some people were in our house. They were not in the house. They just broke in our house. And we saw, like, you know, the sofa, just everything upside down. And it was just such a crazy experience because, you know, you don't expect coming back to your house and thieves came in and do nasty stuff. Fortunately, they didn't steal anything. It was just like crazy. Like, I don't know, they just came in. Something must have happened. And they just took like a little, you know, coins that we had, probably $100. We had more money in the office. We had a lot of things, all the equipments. They didn't take anything. And then after that experience, I was like, nah. I'd rather say, you know, if you don't believe I'm profitable, just look at my videos, my analysis, and it's okay. I'm not trying to sell you a course, but it's just we have to take care. So not everywhere in Latin America. I don't want to make it like...
No, but I think people already understand that about Latin America. Like, the security is definitely... It's not like Dubai, like you said. But I think even in America, people like me, I think about that, bro. I don't really like posting when I'm not home because I just don't want people to know I'm not home. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? I think it's just a crazy world we live in. And the people that are trying to win your attention that way, often it comes with a lot of extra baggage. Yeah. And that's why I always liked your content, because you never do that. No. Like, you're talking about a car. I don't even know what car you're talking about. Yeah. But there's other guys from Latin America and America, but from everywhere, that you know them by their car. Yeah. That's not the guy you should take trading advice from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, something that you just I feel my theme here is your personal life, like your love situation or emotional life, and money wise, just keep it for yourself. You don't need anyone else to know about that in Latin America. If you live somewhere else and you want to show it, it's good for transparency. That's why Bernd does it. Bernd, and he doesn't do it for showing off.
No.
He's such a humble guy.
Such a humble guy.
Humble guy, and he has money and all that,
Right.
but it's just a way to show transparency. So we're cool. He's our face
Yep.
in OTC, and then
Yep.
we all just kind of back him up in the rest of the
Have you
session.
been to Dubai yet?
Not
At all?
yet.
So that'll
Not
be
yet.
the first time when you go for the trading floor.
Yeah, well, the plan is at a certain point. I don't have a specific date, but at a certain point, we might translate the content in Spanish.
Oh, that's so smart, bro.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons actually we're collaborating also with Bernd, because I told him, man, your content and all of this that you're teaching is not taught in Latin America.
No.
So I think I'm the only one in Latin America at this point.
You're the
talking
bridge, bro.
those topics.
Yeah.
So he saw an opportunity there. I see an opportunity there. I could keep doing my business because we've never, agreed to like, you can't keep doing your stuff. No, this is like an extra. And I've loved collaborating. So at some point we might translate it and then we might go to Dubai and visit. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that would be so awesome. I mean, like I said, it's just amazing to see, because I think in America too, we get isolated in our little bubble. So like, let's talk about the prop firm stuff for a second. Like we all had to shift from Forex prop firms because we all did CFD prop firms, like, Clay's firm and everybody. We used to do that. That was the thing. What was it? My Forex funds and FTMO and everybody. And then everything blew up last year.
Yes.
And a lot of us had to shift to futures, but the rest of the world did not have to do that.
No.
So futures, you were telling me, has not picked up a lot of traction.
Not really.
Why do you think? Because Forex is just easier, or the challenge is easier? Because from my perspective, when I shifted to futures, I don't know if you knew this, I have more people in 1 year of futures trading getting paid out and making real money than I had in 2 or 3 years in my coaching program of Forex traders.
Wow. I wasn't really aware of that.
Yes. Like, I don't know if it's because they're cheaper challenges, so they're taking more of them, and then by law of numbers, you're passing more, or if it's just easier to get payouts. I don't really know. But I'm 100% sure we have more people making money now than ever before, and it's because of futures. I don't think it's because I got all of a sudden in 1 year became a better coach.
No. I think it's just the style of the challenges in general. In Latin America, there's traders. I got students that do futures as well, but it's mainly popular the Forex side. I think it's just because you get a static drawdown, and it could be a little bit easier. With futures you don't get that.
No,
it's trailing with you. So
the rules can be definitely tricky.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It definitely is less expensive. But I think it's just the boom at the moment. You guys had to. So when you have that obligation to do it, then you find it and you're like, oh, that's good.
So do you guys have instant funded accounts too in the CFD space? I would assume there's some, because Top One offers one.
Well, Pit Farm at the moment, they don't.
Okay. So it's just challenges with them right now.
Just challenges with them. Okay. They're really some cheap challenges with them. You can start with the 5K account and up. So that's okay.
How cheap is the 5K account?
The 5K is $50.
So for the Latin American people, way more reasonable.
Yeah.
You could probably eat for like 3 weeks and only have to starve yourself for a week.
Yeah. And in the events, we gave out 10K accounts.
There you go. Even better.
They were happy. 10K account.
Dude, you give that to somebody, they probably hold on to that thing with dear life. You know what I'm saying? They're like, I can't believe I got it. I mean, it's true. And that's a great opportunity.
Yeah. Like something I was talking to James, the CEO, this past weeks is like, why are you giving accounts like, because in the past, previous prop firms that we work with, it was like, no way, we don't want to give out that many. And he's like, how would you get your product to get known if people don't try it for free?
100%.
So it doesn't represent like a huge cost to the company.
No.
And you could definitely get more people
customers
to try it out, and they like it, they do. So they've been doing a lot of things that work good with our community and with my style. I'm not a luxurious type of guy. We're just pretty similar in that way. No show offs. And I think that these guys are doing it great, just like Top One.
Yeah.
I met Clay last year as well, and just a nice guy, and all they're doing is also pretty good. So like right now, we're not in that thing like, oh, I'm talking with Austin and Top One, we can't mention it. No. I mean, collaborating between prop firms is great. We just did one in Mexico with another CEO of a prop firm. We're going to Puerto Rico to collaborate with another CEO from a different prop firm.
Right.
Hey, there's no competition if you're doing things right.
I agree. And I think if there is competition, it's the good kind of competition.
Yes.
Like you ever be like with your boys and you're all playing like a game and it's like, yeah, you're going to do good, but I'm going to kick your ass. You know what I'm saying? Like we're going to be competitive and it's good. We're both going to win, both make some money. But yeah, what do you think on the future side of the instant funded accounts? Do you think more like Forex, CFD prop firms should adapt the instant funded? Does that interest you? Like from the outside looking in, I'm curious to know your thoughts on an instant funded account.
I think it does because it makes people more accountable of their trading.
Because the rules are a little tighter.
Yeah. They're a little bit tighter and they'll make you more disciplined in a way. Let's say at this point I could deal with any if it's a challenge, if it's instant funding, I'll just adapt to the rules. That's it. You do it as well.
Right.
So I think it will be a good thing to do.
Do you think for a new trader, saying what you just said, that the rules are tighter, do you think a new trader is better off in a challenge account or an instant funded account?
I think definitely an instant. Well, both of them, but I think an instant will be good as well because they'll be more disciplined for sure. So I think a newbie definitely has to do that.
Yeah.
It's like when you put your own money.
Yeah.
So even if it's just $100 in a broker,
right.
It's your money.
For sure.
You definitely don't want to lose those.
No,
you want to hold those with your life.
Dude, 100%.
So it's like, like that's what I'd recommend some traders. Like even if you don't want to start with a prop firm, try some small money in a broker and just, see that adrenaline of trading your own money. Because you could say start with the demo, but there's no feelings in the demo.
No.
Right?
No.
I've traded demos. I'm a millionaire.
I'm a millionaire in demo, bro. So,
right. But once you get into the real thing, you just have to control your emotions.
Have you seen any trader trade personal capital really well, but suck at prop firms?
Yeah, I was one of those.
Really?
Actually, yeah.
Okay, tell me.
Well, I've been trading proper capital for like several years.
Right.
And I do pretty good at that as well because it's my own money, right? With prop firms, I'm doing good as well. But at the beginning, it was a bit shocking because
the rules,
that rule thing.
Yeah.
It's like I'm disciplined with my thing, but that rule thing is like
they all have different, unique little rules too.
Yeah, and I'm not as let's say frequent with that. I remember I did a challenge with Top One, and not recently I passed the first second stage, and it was like I had it there, And also with Pit Farm, I'm doing a lot, and it's just different ones. It's just that thing with the challenges that it kind of generates some shock at some point.
Yeah,
nowadays it doesn't, but I think for the new people, just having the rules is good because they'll be disciplined.
So if someone comes to you now and they've got a little bit of extra money, do you recommend they go prop firm to start, like they're brand new, or do you recommend they go small personal capital?
I think right now prop firm, but small accounts. Like don't go with the big one. Because it generates a shock. It's the same thing in the end.
Yeah.
Having 100K, 200K, or whatever the amount is, it's just the same. We talk about percentage-wise. So I'm going to risk 1% on whatever the amount of the capital account it is.
Sure.
So I'll recommend start off with small account, even though for me it's the same. For you should be the same. But just the factor of seeing the money thing is just... I don't know, just big thing for people. They see 5K and then 100K and it's like they generate some shock. So you can start with the small account if you're new, just to give it a shot, see how it feels, and then just scale it up to a bigger account. That's
we're gonna pause. Great answer. We're gonna pause for a second, everybody. We just lost a camera. We'll be right back. And we're back. Let's talk about the boot camp in Mexico real quick, because I'm doing my boot camp in Tampa. That's on like 2 weeks. What was the inspiration for that? And now will you be doing future boot camps? Will they be collaborations with Bernd's guys, like because they're so international? What's the thought behind the boot camps?
So the boot camp was more of a Divitrade sponsored by Pit Farm.
Nice.
Kind of like what you did in Texas.
Same thing.
With Top One.
Yep.
So we know that we are teaching the skill, but they need to put that into practice in a prop. And hopefully a trustworthy prop firm, right?
Yeah.
So basically in Mexico, we didn't really do a boot camp. We went for the expo. There was an expo done there in Mexico City. And I actually was a moderator in one of the sessions there. James did some sort of a speaker conference there about prop firms.
And James,
all that.
the CEO of Pit
Yeah,
Farm.
James Clyde is the CEO of Pit Farm. So he did his thing, I did my thing, and then we did a meet and greet with traders in the city. So we just,
Oh,
ate
dude, they
some,
probably loved that.
yeah, we just ate some tacos. Like everyone was expecting something else. You should have seen them when they came in. They were like, okay, so
And it was
where-
super casual
where's-
because you guys are super casual.
we're like, hey, you want to have a drink? Yeah,
Right.
talking, just meeting with them, translating,
Dude, and that's so much easier. Like me, I planning this event. You have a good team. I always respect that about you. I don't have as many people on my team. My wife is taking care of our kid now, so I kind of lost my right hand man. But planning these events is difficult. So when you can do it super casual like that, it's so nice. And it is refreshing. Like one thing I've made sure is like, if I do these events where it's like conference room and big screen and you got to have a networking part of it, because people are basically like, they'll come and they want to learn from you and blah, blah, blah. But like they're coming to meet other traders. They want to talk to other traders. They want to have a beer and just hang out.
Sure. So we had a meet and greet in Mexico City. We had some obviously tacos. You got to eat tacos in Mexico. There's some Corona, some different drinks in there. And then everybody was expecting something else. And we were like, no, we just want to meet. How you guys doing? What do you guys think about the prop firm space? What do you think about trading? Anything? So we did like a round table. And they were like, and I was like, hey, this is James from Pit Farm, the CEO. And they were like, what? The CEO in Latin America? So like, just having people come to visit them, they were very grateful. Towards the end, we're like, you guys have a free account. Just enjoy it. See how it goes. And yeah, we just connected.
That's awesome.
So the week before, we did some in-person events, boot camps, that in Colombia. So Bogota and Medellin.
Nice.
We had like 100 people in Medellin. Not so many in Bogota, but over 700 registrations for that event.
That's awesome.
Pit Farm really helped out with that, marketing side.
For sure.
Which was pretty good. And we just gave value. Really. We actually didn't even mention, this is the cost of an account. No, we just taught them. I showed them a bit of what we do with the fundamental side, and then I showed them a picture of Bernd, in the back, and just this is my mentor. And then the other guys showed a lot of their thing, mental thing and psycho trading and just investing in the long term. There's a guy that talked about investing in ETFs and stocks and how you can do it,
like you said earlier.
Kind of like showing people how to not only trade, because we're investors in the end, right?
Yeah.
So we need to know how to trade, but we need to know how to invest also in stocks and all that.
Dude, one of the guys that I talked to, one of the older guys, Anthony Crudelli, he always said the biggest thing he regrets, one of the biggest things is like not investing well enough with his trading profits when he was younger.
Yeah.
Because now he's still trading. He's like, I should have been more investment minded, and I would have set myself up for more passive kind of income later on in life.
Actually, I did a reel in Spanish about Warren Buffett.
Okay.
And I was like, this guy made he made his millions and billions out of investing in stocks.
That's it.
So you have to do it. We all have to invest. Otherwise, what's the point? You're gonna get old. Your eyes are not gonna be as good looking, in when you're very old, unless you teach your child and they like it. Because if you don't like it,
but people don't have that kind of time horizon. That's really the issue. Is people are like, oh, dude, I don't care about retirement.
No,
until you end up at 50 and you're like, oh man, I might want to retire soon, and now I'm not anywhere near financially ready for that.
Exactly. I'm 33 years old. I'm still young, but just recently I went to the doctor and they were like, hey, you got to take care of, your habits of eating. And I had some fatty liver thing. And that made me think, like, the doctor says, like, you're okay, but you're 33, man.
Yeah.
So when you're 40, don't expect to be okay. And that made you think like, whoa, hey, I got to stop whatever and I just got to.
Blood work every 6 months now. I just turned 30 this year, so I've been doing the blood work, but same thing. You got to take care of yourself because body starts to change as time goes on. Then as you get older, you get more experience. You got kids. You start to get it. You see how quickly time goes, and then you get more perspective for time. I think you become a better investor.
Yes, for sure. So like we're investing every month. You got to take a percentage of what you make and just invest it. Otherwise,
but it's boring, Raul. It's boring.
Yeah.
People want it to be sexy. They want to flip their money. They give them the meme coin. No, like you have to have both, right?
Yes.
You have to have like the speculation and the fun and like the exciting thing that will be big reward, a smaller bucket of that than the investing for the long term and like setting yourself and your family up. Yeah.
So that's what we did in the boot camp. I was like, listen, if you think you're learning trading and at this point, after several years, you think you suck at it, just invest in stocks and you'll be fine, because you don't need to, just put a stop loss, none of that. Just invest. That's all you got to do.
It's really good advice, bro, because not everybody's going to be a good day trader. It's just the truth.
In the end, this is for everyone. Like the investing side is for every single
Everyone.
person.
It's a great point.
So that's what I love, that anyone could do it. Even your grandma could do it.
You're right, bro.
If they don't know how to trade.
And you know what? Great point. Like, really good point. I think in America, I don't know if you feel this because you're not here, but like more than ever, people are cynical, very pessimistic. They don't believe in the future of America. Yesterday, I made a reel because the Bank of America lead analyst, chief strategy officer, he goes, American exceptionalism is dying. So people are very cynical, so they're not going to want to invest.
Yeah.
Even though, like you just pointed out, it's easy. Anyone can do it. And if you let time play out, it's always worked out well for you.
Yes.
The problem is like, it's so easy that it allows people to be cynical and be like, no, it won't work for me. But it worked for every generation in the past. Of course, there's crashes and pullbacks, but like if you hold on, you build true wealth, right? That's why, what do they say? 80% of Americans don't own stocks, I think. And then of the 20% that do own stocks, 80% of that group own majority of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So very few people have committed to this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why there's little rich people.
Exactly.
That's something like something I'm preaching all the time. Like ever since I realized that it's important to invest, because that's something additional that I learned with Bernd. So you would think it's just fundamental and the trading thing, the fun stuff, but then there's a side in which we're taught stock investment, how to do it, and then also the futures market. How he's the expert. In the end, I'm just a little mentee of him, but you learn all of that.
Yeah.
And that's what opened my eyes to like, hey, you got to think about this, because I wasn't doing that before. And then it's okay. It's never late. Just do it. And when I learned that, it's like, we need to preach this. So that's what we did in the boot camp. And, investing in stocks has nothing to do with prop firms, but we still talked about it. So it was 2 events that we did there in person. Towards the end, people were very happy. They got their accounts, whatever, but they got some great value out of that.
That's
so
awesome.
We taught something that no one is teaching in Latin America. And the thing is that there's the language barrier. So the really juicy information is in English. So you guys are privileged to have that. I think I'm privileged because I speak the language.
Right.
And now I'm teaching it in our language for those people to learn it, because they do need it.
Interesting. That is so interesting. You say the juicy stuff is in English.
It
Why?
is.
Why is that?
Well, I would like to know it, but you got Wall Street in the States. You got,
So the terminology, like the words themselves, like how do you say derivative in Spanish?
derivado.
Okay, so there's one. But you know what I'm saying? Like there's probably so many finance terms and maybe not words, but like phrases that are not translatable. So that's interesting.
Exactly. And the information itself. Like the
right.
big dudes they're in the States,
Yeah,
know.
of course.
You hear of the greatest traders in the world, and most of them are here. Not necessarily all of them, but and you just realize that. That's why the States and the US is like so big around the world.
Sure.
So I love this country. I got to say that it really makes me happy to come, even though I'm always having issues to come in. But I'm really happy to come to this country. I grew up here, so I just grew up in Broward, in Florida.
Right.
So
did you come when Biden was president?
to the States? Yeah.
Okay. Was it easier to get in now with Trump as president, or easier to get in with Biden?
It was easier with Biden.
Oh, of course it was.
Yeah.
Just letting any old person in across the border.
Exactly.
Right.
It was easier.
Right.
It's just a few questions. Now it's a bit difficult. Yesterday, I was telling you, I arrived to Tampa, and I had this sort of issue with my visa or passport, something like that. I think a few years ago when I came in the States, there was a certain situation because I used to work on cruise ships. So I had 2 types of visa: the tourist visa, which is the actual one I have,
And then the work visa.
and then the working visa, which was for cruise ships.
Right.
So that one was expired, and the lady.
Oh, dude, they thought you were Jason Bourne. They're
So-
like, he's got 2 identities.
Yeah, so they saw the expired one, and she kind of mixed it for some reason, and then she just put me in the system like, you got to watch out with this guy. I think it's
flag.
like, yeah. So every time I come in the States, they usually take me to that small room where you feel like you're a criminal or something like that. But I know it's a whole procedure. I don't want to talk bad about it. I actually appreciate them doing their work, because I could be a criminal or something like that, and they're letting you in the country.
But do you know how many Americans would just be annoyed at them for doing that? And you're like, yeah, but I kind of get it. Like, no Americans, I feel like, say that. Some do, but very few.
I get it.
I get
So
it. I get it
Every
too.
time I go there, I've been there, just the past times I've come, and I just sit there and relax, and then they just call me out, and they're like, "What are you gonna do here?"
Yo, this guy, he might know where Dollar Cat is going.
Yeah.
Should we ask him?
so they asked me the first thing yesterday is like, "What are you doing?" So I'm like, "Okay, so I have a friend in Tampa. His name is Austin."
Oh, you told him about me.
Yeah, I had to. He's a U.S. citizen, and we're just gonna collaborate. We're gonna do a podcast in Tampa. And they're like, okay, so how much is Austin paying you for that? I'm like, no, nothing. We're just collaborating. And why is that? That's what we do. Exposure, we call it. It's just marketing wise. We do like to collaborate. So they're like, okay, cool. And then what are you doing? So I'm going to New York. And what are you going to do in New York? You got friends there? I'm like, no, I'm just going to be a tourist. I want to go to New York. Never been to New York before. Okay, and then what are you going to do? I'm going to Puerto Rico. And what are you going to do there? Well, we're going to collaborate all of a sudden.
Oh, more of this collaborate.
So they're like, and they were taking notes.
Right.
And I was like,
collaborate.
Yeah. So what's your social media?
Right.
Divitrade. Okay.
All right, when will we see this episode aired?
Yeah. I was like, Austin, you got to show me in your.
Right.
You can't cancel this episode.
It's funny that happens to you.
Yeah.
Bro. I had a guy make a YouTube video about me. He mentioned my name and that I run a podcast. And he said, he's like, does this guy pay people to come on his podcast? And no, I've never paid anybody to come on my podcast. But there is someone who runs a big podcast. I'm not going to say his name because then he could sue me for defaming him or whatever. But there are people who pay for that.
Yeah.
So like, it is really cool to have relationships with people that, like, how like when singers make songs together, sometimes they charge each other, sometimes they don't. I feel like that's kind of like how I've kind of got it with the podcast. We're like, I don't really do podcasts with people that would want money to be on a podcast. Because if you like would want to be paid to be on a podcast, you're probably just trying to sell something.
Yes.
You're not trying to have just a conversation.
Exactly. And that's what I like about, just being here with you. That we're just talking.
Just talking.
Just talking. Just chilling.
Wait, that was my one thing. And then I had another funny story you made me think of. Now it's going to slip me until we, and then when I leave, I'm going to remember. It doesn't matter. But the TSA thing is funny too, bro. I used to, I think, when I was like, I had short hair and just a beard, I looked much more like Arabic. And I think my dad used to always make jokes. He's like, dude, you're going to get pulled over in the airport, bro. You're going to, and I never did, like never really bad. When I travel though, I do notice like TSA is definitely more strict than other countries. It seems like. Yeah,
for sure. And even when you're coming out of the country,
for sure,
they're like, just come and you got to do this.
100%.
So, you have to, if you're visiting a country that's not yours, you just got to deal with it.
You got to be respectful.
Period.
Yes.
Why would I argue? And this is the funny thing. After all that, questions and all, the guy was like, okay, you're good. Go. And then I was going out and there's an extra security outside of that room. He took my passport. He verified the system. He's like, you're not done yet. Come with me. And I'm like, what? So he passed me again.
Oh, my God.
And I had to wait another 20 minutes. The guy that told me, like, you could go, came back in.
He was like, just kidding.
He was like, bro, I let you out. Just go. And I'm like, are you sure? Because the guy in the system said that. And I don't want to be like,
right. Now he's
arguing.
on the run. Now he's fucking fleeing.
Yeah. So, yeah, in the end, I passed. And he's like, okay, now you're good to go.
All right. Double check.
It was not so nice. They were not mean with me at all. Yeah. Like they did their job.
I remember now. So you got me on the radar from the TSA people. I found out this a couple years ago. I don't know if I've ever told this on the podcast. There's a guy who bought my course. This is like 2019, 2020, right when I started ASFX. I left working at the prop firm in New York, started ASFX with my wife, started selling the video course. That was the main thing we did. He bought the course, bought it for his friends, paid full price, even bought tickets to come to one of my seminars here in Tampa right before COVID. He was going to come to the one in April. COVID hit in March, so the month before. So we had no seminar. He's from Alaska. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say his name. It ended up being the biggest financial crime in Alaska in the last, I don't know how many years.
Wow.
They had to bring FBI agents from the lower 48 America states up to Alaska to help with this. He ended up stealing money from his friends, his family, his neighbors, and he said he was trading it as a fund. And he lost it all.
Wow.
And I think he's in jail now.
Wow.
But what's crazy is he was sending me pictures of this office that he bought for everybody. And he had all his guys in there and desks. And I was like, oh, dude, this is so awesome. Taking some of my knowledge and making money with it. No. Ends up running this big scam. So maybe you got me on the TSA watch list and the FBI already had me because of that. Because he must have spent $5,000 with me at that point. We were selling the course, I think, for $500. And he bought it for a bunch of dudes. He bought the seminar ticket. So he spent money with me.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, man. But I never got a phone call. I wanted to be interviewed for the FBI crime files. Maybe I will one day.
No, I had to mention you there. And I mentioned, everything we were going to do. And so I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So when is this coming out or whatever? I'm
Hey, you should have left him a note hey, make sure you subscribe.
Oh, yeah. Right. Just make sure you follow me and subscribe.
No, but dude, I can't thank you enough for coming and doing this. I'm so glad that we finally got to do a podcast in person. I know we already hung out in person before, but yeah. So what's coming next? I know you guys are going to be traveling. I know you're going to be collaborating with Bernd. Is the next big thing trying to get out to the Dubai office?
I hope so. We haven't spoke about a specific day.
I'm
but
manifesting it for you right now.
But definitely, we're gonna have to go to Dubai. Of course, we got to go visit Bernd and the whole team. All of them are there. Most of them are there. So we have a good relationship with all of them. It's just a great family as well. So
when I come down to Colombia with Clay, you gonna take care of us?
Yeah, we'll go to Medellin.
Is that where we should meet?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
You should ask James whenever you have a chance how he thinks about Medellin. And,
Okay.
People were so welcoming and warm with them.
Really?
So you got to go to Medellin.
Dollar goes far there too, right?
For sure.
Like I could stay at the Four Seasons, no problem.
Oh, yeah. You're not going to
problem.
invest much money there. For sure.
For today, I think we put a pin in it. I know you and James are going to be filming in here in a little bit.
Yes.
So we'll send everybody to your YouTube channel to probably see that.
It's going to be in Pit Farms.
In Pit Farms YouTube channel. So what we'll do is we'll put links for your socials and the Pit Farm stuff down in the description.
Perfect.
So everybody can connect with you, check out James, check out the website.
Yeah.
But thanks for doing this, bro.
No, thank you. Thank you for this space.
You're the man, bro. Listeners, thank you guys for staying all the way through. We really appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. We do this every Saturday, sometimes in person, sometimes on Zoom. I like the in person. I've got a lot of good ones coming because I am going to Miami actually in a couple of weeks.
Oh, cool.
I think like 5 or 6 weeks. And I got a bunch of podcasts lined up because like when I go there, I just rent the studio for the day and bang, bang, bang. You know what I'm saying? Subscribe. Links are below for Raul. Say that 10 times. And we appreciate you guys for listening. Until next time, everybody, thank you very much.